Hi, it's Kira and this is my May wrap up. I don't remember how many pages I read. I'll insert this somewhere here. I read 18 books this month, which isn't bad. It's been quite a good reading month. So I'll get straight into the books I read, what I thought of them, etc. So first this month I read Crazy Rich Asians by Kwan. This was for the Asian readathon. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. It's quite a fun kind of satirical take on Asia. I really enjoyed it and I would love to get on with the rest of the trilogy. Second this month I read Heartstopper Volume 2 by Oseman. I gave this 5 stars. This was one of my only 5 stars this month. I love Heartstopper. I can't wait to get to the third one. Hopefully I'll be doing that soon. Then next this month I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sáenz. This was kind of a cutesy YA male romance. I thought it was kind of slow going to start with because the characters, it's very much a slow burn. They meet right at the start but they don't kind of get together till quite close to the end. Number 4 was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I've been intending to get around to this for so long and I finally did. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the subject matter. I think it's important. I really enjoy Angie Thomas's writing style. Number 5 was Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This was also for the Asian readathon and it's on my Pop Sugar reading challenge, which is there now. This was quite a short book. It's about working women in Asia. Basically she's what the Western world would say a young woman who is working at a convenience store part-time. She's enjoying her job, she loves her job, but the standards are much higher for her in her family and kind of friendship circles, and everyone wants her to get married and have a better job or have a husband that supports her and not have a job, and that's kind of just not what she wants, but she kind of makes it work in this story. And next I read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I gave this 4 stars also. I really enjoyed this book. It led me to start the TV series because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely interesting. It's really interesting concept and it's horribly weird how it kind of feels like it could happen in reality at some point. Number 7 was a mood read this month. I read How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell. I gave this 3 stars. It was kind of a nostalgia thing for me. I read these when I was a kid. I've been thinking about kind of revisiting some things that I read when I was younger, and this was one of those. It was on Audible, narrated by David Tennant, so I couldn't resist. I think he narrates the rest of the series, so I might continue. Then next this month I finished Hidden Bodies by Cowell and Kepnes. It took me quite a while to get through this. That's why I only rated it 3 stars. I didn't think it was as good as the first book. It was really slow and kind of predictable. I'm not really a big kind of thriller reader anyway, and I found it really hard to kind of get into this book and stay with it. The 9th thing I read this month was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games series. I did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars. I definitely think Suzanne Collins set herself up for a sequel to this because there were so many unanswered questions at the end, but it's definitely a good book. I definitely recommend reading it if you're a fan of the Hunger Games series. Next I read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste. I gave this 4 stars. I also read this for the Asian readathon. This was part of like the read along book, but I did not read it with them. I found it quite hard to get into this book to begin with. It was quite slow going, but it really picked up around like the last quarter maybe. Everything got kind of heated and I enjoyed it. Next I read Want by Cindy Pon. I gave this 3 stars. It was also part of my Asian readathon TBR. I think this was definitely a really interesting concept, but it just wasn't executed well enough. There is a sequel that I'm kind of interested in getting into because it's rated higher than this one on Goodreads, so I think perhaps if that's better, but I feel like it's just going to be the same thing but in a different location. Then I read 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott. I gave this 4 stars. It made me cry everything. It's a sad book, but it's kind of bittersweet. It's heartwarming but bittersweet at the same time. Next I read Cilka's Journey by Rachel Morris. I gave this 4 stars. This is a sequel to The Tattooist of Auschwitz, which I gave 5 stars earlier in the year. I really enjoyed this book. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, but I really enjoy Heather Morris's writing and I want more books. I want more stories like this. I've never been kind of a historical fiction fan, but these 2 books just had me hooked every time. Like I couldn't stop. I had to read them all. I had to read them kind of in one sitting. I couldn't put them down. Next I read Date Me Bryson Keller by Kevin Van Whye. I gave this 4 stars. This is a debut novel for Kevin Van Whye. It is a male YA romance. I've had this on my TBR and once it was released I had to get to it. I couldn't help myself and I wasn't disappointed. I mean, I did think it was going to be a 5-star book for me because it's kind of what I enjoy reading, but it wasn't. That's okay. 4 stars is still great, and I thought this was kind of an excellent debut for this author. Next, I read Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. I gave this 4 stars. I love an autobiography. I want to read more non-fiction later in the year. This is the story from Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls and everything in between. That's a mouthful. Next, I read The Paper and Heart Society by Lucy Powery, who is Lucy the Reader on YouTube, if you are unaware. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was going to be a 3-star book until it got maybe 3/4 of the way in. It addresses bullying, and I think it's incredibly interesting how kind of young people see those things. It also feels like very young YA to begin with, kind of closer to middle grade to begin with, but then it kind of picks up the YA aspects further onto the book. Another 5-star read this month was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I was kindly gifted this from my Amazon wishlist and I was dying to read it. This is the first time in forever that I've read a physical book, but I just couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop. I just wanted to know everything. I had my predictions. I thought some of it was kind of predictable. And then finally this month was Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli, which is the somewhat sequel to Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I really enjoy Becky Albertalli's writing style. I think I've read most of her works now. I think she's probably one of my favourite authors. I did enjoy this and I can't wait for the new Creekwood novella coming out this month, possibly. That is everything that I read in the month of May. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!